Struggles and a possible violation of the exit agreement. The tone between the EU and the British in the negotiations on the future trade agreement is getting rougher. What is really threatening? Michel Barnier left late yesterday evening, well, from your point of view when you see this video, and arrived in London. When the new round of negotiations for the Brexit talks begins in the British capital in the afternoon, the EU chief negotiator still had meetings in Brussels before that, including in the European Parliament. Barnier's schedule shows that the EU wants to coordinate particularly well before this round of Brexit negotiations. No wonder, because the tensions between the EU and the British government are particularly high this time. The reason for this is not so much Boris Johnson's threats to break off the talks if necessary if there is no result by October 15th. We heard so many of these deadlines before. A Brexit ultimatum from the British Prime Minister? What the hell? They just shrugged their shoulders in Brussels. Such threatening gestures are part of the business, at least in these negotiations with this partner. In addition, they have also noticed in the EU capital that Johnson's star is falling, among other things because of the poor management of the corona crisis at home. Brussels bashing is always a tried and tested method. In addition, the EU side basically shares his assessment. If there is no first reliable text of an agreement by the EU summit in mid-October, things will be tight. Finally, the European Parliament also has to approve the treaty by the end of the year. The deadline ends on October 31st, during which all EU rules will continue to apply in the United Kingdom even after Brexit, which was legally enforced on January 31st, 2020. What is causing great and persistent resentment in Brussels, however, are reports of plans by the British government. Accordingly, the British want to pass a law, the so-called Internal Market Bill, today that could override parts of the exit agreement that the EU concluded with the British last year. It is still unclear whether and when the project, which the Financial Times initially reported, will become law. However, the British government itself confirms necessary adjustments in terms of Northern Ireland. This approach would confirm the worst fears with which the EU side has accompanied Boris Johnson from his first day in office. If he were to actually say goodbye to parts of the exit agreement, what you all know as withdrawal agreement that he negotiated, the British Prime Minister would further undermine the already extremely tough negotiations on the future trade agreement. He might even end it. The EU's answer is correspondingly clear. On Monday, Chief Negotiator Barnier first reported on French radio, "Everything that has been signed must be respected," he told France Inter. The group leader of the left in the European Parliament, Martin Schirdewan, formulates it more sharply. If Johnson unilaterally changes essential parts of the exit agreement, the basic requirement for the future agreement would no longer exist, he told the German magazine Spiegel. The EU should then break off talks with Johnson and co. until he has come to his senses again. Support for the demand comes from the Social Democrats. If that comes on Wednesday's agenda, I think we have to break off the negotiations on the trade agreement, said the head of the Trade Committee in the European Parliament, Bernd Lange. I quoted him several times before in other videos. It's about the foundations of partnership and contractual loyalty. And we're talking about an international treaty here. And both MPs are no extras in the Brexit drama, which gives their threat credibility. Schirdewan sits in the Brexit group, in which Barnier regularly informs the European Parliament about the negotiations. As head of the Trade Committee, Lange, on the other hand, is at a crucial point in the negotiations on a possible future trade agreement. Ursula von der Leyen also apparently takes the report seriously. The head of the Commission warned the British on Monday via Twitter to stick to the agreement. According to British newspaper reports, Johnson could break two core agreements with the EU on Northern Ireland with a new law. It concerns state aid for companies in Northern Ireland and requirements for Northern Irish companies when transporting goods to the UK. The exact wording of the law is not yet known in Brussels. Among other things, London has promised in the exit agreement that there would be no hard border between the EU member Ireland and Northern Ireland, which belongs to the United Kingdom. The background to this is the concern that sectarian clashes could flare up again in Northern Ireland. In Brussels, one hopes that the British will refrain from the proposed law after all. After all, the negotiations are tough enough as it is. The tiger in the tank, which Johnson demanded for talks with the EU leaders in mid-June, was not seen over the summer. On the contrary, basically little has changed since the talks about the future relationship began. The British insist on full sovereignty, the EU defends its internal market. The conflict is also behind the two most important topics of the upcoming talks: the debate on future fishing rights and the question of the so-called level playing field. The British want to say goodbye to the previous EU fisheries policy and prefer to renegotiate the fishing quotas for fishermen from the EU every year for each variety. The EU rejects that. Much more important is the question of the level playing field. The EU only wants to give the British the widest possible access to their internal market if it is ensured that their future rules on environmental protection, labour and social standards and state aid continue to largely correspond to those of the EU. The British think, roughly speaking, that Brexit would make no sense if they remained bound by EU rules in the future. We can confidently rule out that there will be a breakthrough this week. But time is of the essence. Even if no one wants to bypass Chief Negotiator Barnier openly, it is clear that the hour for Commission President von der Leyen and Chancellor Angela Merkel should slowly strike. At the end of the exit agreement, Jean-Claude Juncker, the head of the Commission at the time, had also joined the talks. And Germany currently holds the rotating EU Council presidency. And that doesn't mean that Barnier is, to be honest, really bypassed. It's just the normal way of things. And Barnier is already negotiating on the order of the EU 27. He's not making the decisions himself. He is doing what the EU 27 want him to do. But it is precisely at this level that Johnson wants to raise the talks again with the heads of state and government. On Monday evening, he spoke to French President Emmanuel Macron, among other things, about the course of the Brexit negotiations. And if you now want to know more about European politics, YouTube has chosen another of my videos right here for you on the end screen, right next to your chance to subscribe to my channel, which I hope you already did. And by the way, I recently joined Patreon. If you want to support my channel, please visit Patreon via the link in the description and have a look. Perhaps you want to assist my channel a bit more. I'll see you in my next video. Click and enjoy. Viel Spaß!